In this segment of Face the State, nuclear energy, could this possibly be the answer to reducing our dependence on foreign oil? But what about storing it? What about Yucca Mountain? Well, we'll talk with an expert today, and we'll also hear about, well, we're going to hear about the Reno city government, the impact of new laws, and the life of a city council person today. Face the State. Nuclear energy, we constantly hear on Channel 2 and on every other channel and in the newspaper, we constantly hear about the negative side of nuclear energy because it's a very strong force in this state. They say no to Yucca Mountain. Send your nuclear waste someplace else. But then everybody talks about wanting to reduce America's dependence on foreign oil. Could nuclear energy be a safe way to do that? Well, you know, we had Chernobyl, we had 3 Mile Island, but I would imagine a lot of things have happened since that day and time. That's what I wanted to find out, and that's why Gary Duarte is joining us today, and you're Director of U.S. Nuclear Energy. Thanks for being here, Gary.
Well, thank you for letting me come in.
Yeah, this is what we're trying to do is to get the other side, which we don't normally hear. Tell us first of all about U.S. Nuclear Energy. What is that?
Basically, it's a 501c3 nonprofit foundation that I set up about 2.5 years ago, because I have a strong interest and belief that nuclear energy is something that we really need to put into the energy mix throughout the entire country.
Okay, now, are you a scientist?
No.
You're a private citizen?
Private citizen.
Are you a big stockholder in nuclear energy? I'm trying to figure out, do you have an axe to grind here, or is this just a passion of yours?
No. The truth of it is, I was talking with my brother-in-law one Sunday afternoon, and I said, when you retire, what are we going to do to keep busy? And to us, the most important thing came up was nuclear energy. Energy is the driver of all economies worldwide. Mm-hmm. And we have let that go in this country seriously.
Now, I understand that Texas recently is about to file plans for a new nuclear energy facility, which will be the first in, what, 30 years or something like that?
30 plus, I believe, yes.
Yeah. So what is different now than we had, for instance, when we had a problem at 3 Mile Island? Has the industry matured, become more technical?
It has. It's matured greatly from those times. A lot of the pumps and the functions that are working in the plants now are automated. They're automated both with computers and through gravity and things like that, versus all being a lot of mechanical processes. Mm-hmm. The new design nuclear plants are really exciting as far as what they can do, including metal reactors that use very little water necessity in those types of reactors. We're looking at generation 3, and then generation 4 are still being designed and developed.
What do you think is going to be the reaction now when Texas goes? You know, Texas has a way of getting what it wants, which is kind of interesting. But what do you think the reaction will be nationwide? Do you have your feelers out? Have you talked to people?
Not very much. Most of the plants we have, I think, something like 72 nuclear plants in the country, and 104 reactors at those. Most of them are on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. The Midwest and the West Coast are really starving for energy. And I don't know if they're going to have the political problems in Texas. What we're trying to do is bring that message to common, everyday citizens. Bringing science to citizens is what we're trying to do. Not through myself, but we're putting on presentations with scientists in the field who can really answer those questions technically.
Why nuclear energy is then, as opposed to, they're talking about building a couple of coal-fired power plants out in eastern Nevada and hooking up the huge transmission lines down to Vegas, because Vegas sucks water, sucks power, sucks everything.
Right.
Why nuclear energy?
From what I understand, and what really has been proven over the 40 years that we've been using it, it is the most efficient form of power source in and energy out. Mm-hmm. I do know that they claim a fuel pellet the size of the end of your finger is equal to 1,700 pounds of coal. Mm. So it is efficient, and it is so efficient that the scientists are saying that nuclear is the only source that we can really depend on that will be strong enough to build the hydrogen, convert water to hydrogen for cars in the future.
Well, now you've got some bullet points here, and I want to take a look at these. You say nuclear energy will be the key to a clean, economical, large-scale production of hydrogen from water as a fuel for transportation and industry. What do you mean by that?
Well, the scientists, we're all talking about how we're going to relieve our automotive vehicles from using the gasoline environment that we do now. And the scientists are working on the hydrogen fuel process to do that. It's still, from what I've heard, at 50 to 60% efficient right now, and they'd like to get it up to 75 or 80% efficient in its process itself. The other big problem with that is being able to transport it. But they're saying that hydrogen will transport like water, and it'll go through pipes, and it may be easier at some point in time than electrical transmission as we do today.
Okay, your next bullet point is that businesses owe it to themselves to support energy alternatives that are technologically efficient and offer leveling or reductions in the future cost for power as we do with any other competitive services. That's an involved sentence. Why don't you break that down for me?
Yes, it is, and I think in the United States, America, we've forgotten that we've lost our ability to produce efficient energy. Mm-hmm. My power bills have gone up in the past 10 years from 6 or 8 cents per kilowatt hour to about 13 now. And when we look at the country, years ago we lost our steel industry. The manufacturing of steel required an awful lot of energy. And we lost these things. And had we been building power plants then, right along in this past 30 years, the entire nuclear energy capacities that we have in the country would have helped reduce our costs of energy.
40% of greenhouse gas is from electricity generation. 90% of that is from coal-fired power plants. What you're saying then is that we can probably reduce nearly 40% of greenhouse gases by switching to nuclear.
We could. We have 102 plants, I think, operating now. They provide 20% of the electrical power in the country. If we had 204 nuclear power plants and we were generating 40% of our power, that would take an awful lot out of the greenhouse gas numbers.
In this state, which has been very anti-Yucca Mountain, and there are a couple of reasons for that I've noticed and come across as a reporter. One is because some people just don't like nuclear power, but other people are just flat out tired of the feds dumping on Nevada. You know, if you've got a problem, stick it in Nevada. Is this a difficult sell?
It probably is, but I think it depends on the logic of individual people. Whether we know it or not, the state of Nevada imports 10% of its electrical power is purchased from nuclear energy. And about 50%, somewhere between 50 and 60% of the energy in the state of Nevada is purchased out of state. We are not generating our own power in this state, and I think that both the state government and the people, the citizens themselves, should ask, how can we be efficient at generating power for its citizens if we're not really producing it ourselves?
Do you favor Yucca Mountain coming to the
Yes,
repository?
I do. And I think it's because what I've looked at, and I have gone down and toured Yucca Mountain a couple of years ago, what I've seen is that is the most scientifically analyzed rock that's ever been done in the country and possibly the world. And my basis is based on just simple raw logic. The majority of the scientists, both government and private companies involved in the study of Yucca Mountain, have come to the conclusion that it is the best single geological site in the country.
But if Nevada doesn't want it and other states want it, what would be the problem with letting it go to the other states? And a second part of this question would be, can you divorce your endorsement of nuclear power from Yucca Mountain? Could you be satisfied with saying, let's go nuclear, somebody else start?
Yes, I could, but the way I see it, and several of the scientists that I've talked to view Yucca Mountain as a gold mine. Because if we import all of that storage into Yucca Mountain, the fourth generation nuclear reactors that are going to be built 50 years from now, 30 years, whatever the timeline is, will be able to extract that stored spent fuel as it is and reprocess it, minimizing it to about 96%.
So for the audience to understand is we may have this storage down there. The new generation plants which will eventually come in will take that, reuse that, and eliminate 96% of the problem factor.
That's correct.
Wow. Now, nobody's talking about that. Why?
I don't know. I don't know. The material that talks about the specifics of this are on our website, and I have run that past the scientists, and the scientists are agreeing with me that my material is correct.
You mentioned your website. Let's go ahead and put that up. We can see the at least the website address where you can go and take a look at this. And there's the website itself, by golly. And this is your home page. And you get right to it. I went through your site. Right on your home page, you've got a lot of links out to good information, interesting information. And, of course, I'm neither pro-nuclear, non-nuclear. My business is to present facts, and that's what I'm doing. So if you go to that address right there on the bottom of your screen, this is what you're going to see, and you can take a look at some of that information. Some other things that you have talked about here, and there's one key point in here that I find really fascinating, and you can back all of this up, right? And you do on your website. Okay.
Yes, I do.
All right, okay. Environmental leaders, Greenpeace co-founder Patrick Moore, Whole Earth Catalog founder Stuart Brand now support new nuclear technology because the fossil fuels which contribute to global warming has put new emphasis on nuclear power since it does not produce greenhouse gases. So you've got one of these guys that co-founded Greenpeace saying that this is the way we need to go.
Yes. He founded Greenpeace, Patrick Moore, and ironically within the last week I found some nuclear material on his website that I wanted to use on my website, and I emailed him, and he wrote back to me. I have a confirmed email signed by him, and he said I could have access to anything that's on his website and use it on our website.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He's very interested in supporting that, and I was a bit excited by it because I have a disclaimer on our website that anything that we use from other websites, the links, etc., we acquire by doing a written permission from those websites.
Do you have any public presentations, anything like that coming up in the near future?
Not scheduled right now. I'm trying to, within the next 30 days or so, I'm working with Dr. Sophonides locally at the university, and we have a couple of 3 DVDs of the past ones, last year's ANS convention in Reno. We had Dr. Alan Walter, who was a scientist from Richland, Washington up there. He worked at the Hanford shop. He was an expert on radiation and authored a book that was, the cover on it was, what do they call it, dedication, or by Marie Curie's granddaughter. Very nice work there. And formerly also Dr. Dennis Beller from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, did a presentation for us. And
so you're working on something in the near future?
Oh, yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gary, thank you for being with us. It's nice to get some information out from the other side and let people be the judge. They can go to your website and get even more information as this debate continues to develop. Thanks for being with us today.
We thank you very much for the time.
All right, this is Face the State.